All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is Monday, August the 6th, 2018. This is a Monday night webinar, and the title of tonight's webinar is Do You See the Trade Ahead of Time? And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we have, our live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right, if not, we'll go ahead and get started. By the way, how many of you get your charts ready each and every day before you even start to put on a trade to make sure you're on the correct side of the trade? Does everybody? Yeah, it's extremely smart, isn't it? Because with what I see on this chart right now, obviously it's pretty easy to tell it's in an uptrend, right? Yeah, about an hour in advance. That's good too. And what you want to do is also draw on your charts, because you do have support levels. To give an example, like right there is a support level, and right here is another support level. Okay. Now, if they were to break this, come back and kiss and roll over, then we could be changing trends, couldn't we? Okay. But in the meantime, aren't we really just looking for this? I mean, we've got Lightning 3 that basically looks like that. You're in an uptrend. Makes trading a lot easier. That's absolutely right. It does. Okay. Now, we're going to be talking about identified lightning a little bit more on Saturday, but I've got to really go over it some, obviously, for even tonight, because that's exactly the way we see these swings and we see these trades. Okay. For instance, if I was looking at this, well, right now, to give an example, I'd probably be looking for a trade somewhere in this area right through here, something like that. Okay, because that's a support level. Okay, this is a high, that's a low, that's a higher high, so they shouldn't come down to here, but this is also a support level, right? So we'd be looking for like a little bounce out of there, wouldn't we? Okay, and for this to actually break down, we'd have to start doing something like a thrust down, a lower high, and then start breaking, kissing, and rolling over, right? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about identified lightning just real quick. Let me just show you something here. Bear with me a second. I'm going to go ahead and take this off also. A lot of people, before they had, our scripts, to give an example, pretty much would draw, their lightning swings and everything, but did you know they actually draw just the way we designed lightning to begin with? Because, for instance, if you were seeing this right here, you'd draw from yellow to green, right? Okay. That would be the obvious thing to do, right? Just to see if the lightning swings. So, for instance, if you're looking at your chart and you don't even use lightning, you're seeing a thrust, you're seeing a retrace, all right? And when does this swing get identified? Right here. Only when it takes this swing out to the left, right? So, if this was to do something like this and then do this, you don't have anything yet because you've got an identified swing. Well, you don't have an identified swing yet, right? Because this could easily do something like this, and you could still have an identified swing when it takes out this top or this top, right? Everybody see that? So keep in mind that when you're looking at your charts, these identified swings like this are super, super important, okay? Because you're getting these identified swings only when it takes out the swing to the left. Okay, identified swing when it takes out the left. Identified swing right here when it takes out the left. Same thing on a downtrend. Let's see, how do you know when you're ready to leave sim, point where you have to dive in? Well, basically, on that question there, really what you just want to do is make sure that you're trading the same way in sim that you're going to be trading live. Because if you don't, for instance, let's say that you get behind $200 or $300 and you go add in 15 contracts in sim. Well, that's pretty easy to pull out of that, right? But would you really add 15 contracts in your live account? I doubt it. See what I mean? So, as long as a person's trading the same way in sim and, just kind of making sure that they're profitable in their sim trading, then, they're ready to go live. Now, that's up to the individual, of course. We don't tell anybody to go live on their accounts. That's anybody's business, not ours. Okay, let's go back to the chart. So this is actually drawn. I drew this. This is not off of really live data. You can clearly tell, right? Okay, because it's side by side. But look how this actually will look the exact same way. Let me go ahead and go down here. And I'm going to just draw Lightning 2. And I'm going to let everybody tell me where is the identified swing on each of these. So let's just go over here to we'll just do it like this. Just pretend this isn't over here. We don't care about that. But everybody see this where you had a thrust up, you had a low, you didn't get a higher high, so that was not an identified swing, right? Now, notice that this one came even with this, so that's not an identified swing yet, right? Now, when this takes out the top across here, like so, then this actually becomes your identified swing. And then I always look at this one as my secondary swing. Okay, so if you were trading this, to give an example, and you had gotten in, for instance, and you were watching, for keeping your trade in, because when I talk to people, one of the hardest things I think that a lot of people run into is trying to keep the trade in for these monster runs. Okay, and the only way and the best way to do that is that you've got to take some profit. You've got to get profitable on your trade, and then let maybe a couple run, to give an example. Okay, don't start with 5 and then just let it go all the way against you and then go 20 ticks against you and then you're down, because that's not a smart way to trade. Okay, now look at this over here. Now you have a high, you have a low. See, you have the same high here. Notice that they just check that swing right there. See it? So when is this swing identified? It's when it takes out this swing to the left, right? So see, when this swing actually takes this out, that swing became identified. That's your secondary swing. Okay. Now, as a rule, they won't take out the secondary swing because that's where they started the movement from, A, B, C. Everybody see that? And that's usually what they end up doing, especially on these smaller moves like this. Now, let's look over here. We have a high. We have a low. We did have a higher high. So that is an identified swing. See it right there? Now, what if you were trading this with your live money? Okay, and you had gotten in, let's just say that you had gotten in somewhere down in here. Maybe this was a phantom or something, I don't know. But or you might have gotten in on like a trend line or something. But let's just say that you're in on some type of a pullback. Okay? Now, what you want to learn to do is to stay with this trade as long as you possibly can and do it with your identified swings. And you're going to be able to see the next trade ahead of time if you do this, draw on your charts or see it with your eyes. Okay, so let's watch this and see. Let's go a little bit at a time. Okay, identified swing, right? So if you were trading this and you're all the way up from 26 to 40, wouldn't your stop be right under here, like close of the bar? See how they just come down and test it? That's usually what they end up doing. If they're going to head up, they need to hold these swings. That's why we draw these lines in that room. That's why you can see that next trade. Okay, and you can naturally box it in so you can get that trade. All right, let's take a look at it and see. Let's see if we can all pick the next identified swing. All right, we know this one's identified because we have this swing here taken out. So that's our identified swing. It was also over here because this was taken out. Everybody see that? Now that became my primary and my secondary on that particular move because you got like the little double bottom. Okay, so I usually draw a line on my charts like that. But wouldn't you love to be able to get in this trade like down in this area right here, for instance. And just matter of fact, it was probably something like this because it was probably consolidating, pops up, pulls back into a box, and then takes off. That's kind of what they do, isn't it? Let's just go ahead and change that a little bit different color box so we can all see it. There we go. All right. So if you had already taken some coin, you know, and you're riding, let's say you're riding 1 or 2 contracts to give an example. All right. When does this swing become identified by just what I taught just a minute ago? When it takes that out, right? Did it take it out? Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. But there's your identified swing, isn't it? So your identified swing right there, let's see if it takes it out. High or low? Took it out a little bit. What do you think? Would you be out of the trade yet? Well, you actually could be because it did take it out. But keep in mind that a lot of times they're going to just barely try to take you out too. And we'd have to look at the midband to see where that actually was, because this may have just been a good midband trade actually. Okay. So watch that, because that is a primary swing. There's your secondary. This one with the double bottom I consider to be my secondary also. But then look at your midband and see if this was actually a trade that should have been taken off the table. And let's see if it went up after that. Low, high, higher low, but not identified yet, right? It's identified now, right? See there? So you have a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. So that's an identified swing. Let's say that you got back in this. Let's say that you did have a tight stop and you said, well, you know what? That took it out by 3 ticks. Notice it didn't close the bar, though. And I'll bet that's a midband. Just looking at this looks like a midband to me. You know, because I've trained my eye to see that type of thing. That's why we can draw on those charts as well as we can. All right, let's see. Tagged it again. Higher low, higher high. There's your established swing. So couldn't you actually just stay with this trade as long as these identified swings weren't taken out? And there it is taken out right there if you wanted to get out of the trade, right? Everybody see that? Okay. Now notice that this is actually what was going on Friday, I believe. You know, this was pretty much Friday's trading, I believe. Yeah, 3rd. It was on the 3rd. All right, so let's fast forward this thing and see if we can pick the next trade. Okay. All right, so this is 8-5. Now let's diagnose our chart again, because let's just pretend we didn't get any of this. Maybe you weren't around at 10:50 in the morning and you didn't get this move, okay? But let's see if we can pick the one for Sunday night, because I would draw my charts like I always do, and I would say that if we're going to head down, we're going to want something like this: a break, a pull back and kiss, and a rollover, right? Now, what if we don't break it? What are we looking at to actually get long on this? Because right now you've got kind of a little double top, so they could easily take this out. I usually look to the left to trade the right, and I try to see where they might bounce if they happen to take this out. And I see a little swing here, so I'll put a line there. I'll put a line right there. And this is actually like a little sweet spot if it does decide to go ahead and head back up. Let's see if we can get that white box again. I'll set this as default since we're going to stay on this black chart for a little while. Everybody see that? Wouldn't it most likely be a long, higher low? Absolutely. Lewis, on your question, what you're looking at, see, you're looking at Friday into Sunday right now. Now, obviously, you've actually got a support level at 54, okay? Because it actually drew the lightning 3 swing. You see that? Okay? Now, if this was going to head down, I would expect it to break 54 by, you know, I'd like it to break at least, 8 to 10 ticks, come back and kiss, and then roll over if we're going to short it. Okay? But if we're going to go long on it, I'd like to take it long right in through here, more than likely. Now let's just, for the fun of it, let's put the mid-band on here just to see if this gives us even a little bit more of where this might go. So I'm going to add an indicator to this, and we'll just go ahead and add the VIP dynamic trend. Okay, and let's just go ahead and add it to our chart. Hopefully I don't lose my lightning. I think I will. And let's get rid of the predictors, and let's go ahead and draw these again. Look at that mid-band, by the way. All right, let's draw it again. Okay, that's our pricing right there. Now notice that you have a swing under here also, so let's draw another line. See where our mid-band is? Now, if this was to head up, you have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high, so that's like an identified swing. Okay, this is also an identified swing right here. See the high, the low, the higher high? Okay, but when you get into these mid-bands, these can be some nice little sweet spots. But I see an area right here that it should give us a trade. And then let's add one more thing to this chart and see if we can get a trade even a little bit easier. Let's add our predictor. Oh, look at that. We got a predictor that's telling us my little box is correct. Everybody see that? Now, do you see that trade ahead of time? Now, will it work? Well, we don't know, but obviously we can give it a shot. You want to try it? Okay, so let's see. We have a high, low, higher high. Basically bounced off the high, double topping. So when they do that, they'll more than likely take this out a little bit, possibly even check this line I've got drawn here. Predictor's saying that it's going to bounce right there. That's where predictor's saying it's going to bounce. So let's see if my box is right or predictor's right, because I'm thinking that it's going to come right on top of that swing right there because they haven't checked it yet. See there, they popped up. They've checked over here, but they haven't checked here yet. So I'm gonna stick with this and say this little area right here is, I'm expecting this to actually pop up again. Okay. Now we do know though, by looking at our chart, that if this does decide to break down, now keep in mind that now that we have this mid-band here, we don't really want it just barely breaking this, coming back and kissing and rolling. So we might want to box it, more if this was decided to break down. And I would probably even want it to do this. Now that I've seen my mid-band, I'd probably want it to do something like this, break down below this support and then roll over. Okay, if it was to decide to roll over. Okay, now the reason I did that is because by looking at my swings, I was thinking that, hey, that might actually break down there, but aren't you kind of looking very possibly at this going back up because mid-band is green? Exactly. So be careful with that, because what you really want to get in the habit of is if they break below mid-band, let's just say instead that they do something like this and come back up and kiss and like even roll over. Could you box in like above mid-band or below mid-band? Yeah. And you could try to get like Phantom, to give an example, or even this swing down here, if they were to decide to break down. Let's see, how do you know for sure when you're looking at candle formation that when you're trading at the moment you don't confuse higher high or higher low or vice versa? Sometimes it's easy to get confused. Well, it actually is, because we trade quite a bit smaller chart to begin with, But if you look also, let's go with, I'm going to go one more chart here, just one sec. We're going to go back to a real simple one on that oil again, without the mid-band and everything. All right, just looking at this chart right here, I would pretty much expect them, just looking at this chart right here, I would want them to at least break here. And technically with that high, low, and higher high, this is even a low here. So, if you're wanting to make sure you don't get caught on the wrong side of a trade, especially with mid-band, you may want to do something like this instead. And that would be to wait for a break, a pullback, and then rolling over. Okay, because then for sure, even on Lightning 3, you're breaking down. Everybody see that? Because sometimes when they go sideways for a while, you will get a lightning 3 that won't necessarily take this one out. That's why I look at the primary and the secondary. But you got to be careful with that because sometimes they're way away from each other too. So, you don't want to miss a, 40 tick trade just because of something like this either. So, lightning will draw in the proper places based on the number of bars that are actually printing on your chart. Okay, so let's see if we can go ahead and take a trade then based on what we're seeing so far. Now look at it. Does that look like any kind of a downtrend? Not at all, does it? All right, so if you draw your line just like we did, you had one over here, it looks like 54. Okay, and you have another one down here at 42. Now, to me, you'd have to break that 42 looking at this because, see, 4-range charts, they get a little bit on the whippy side. So, you can still do this instead, draw this, and of course, this is actually what was drawing on lightning 3 to begin with, actually. Wasn't it? Let's see if it was. Let's draw it from down here. Yeah, it's actually where it drew, because watch. Take that away, it's there. Take that away, it's there. And take that away, it's there. So 42 is actually support on lightning 3. Why is that? Because you basically have double topped up here. So this does not count as a swing except on a minor type of a, like basically your lightning 1 or 2. Okay? So when you can draw on your chart and you can see lightning 3, you've got a high, you've got a low, you've got a higher high, you've got a higher low, you've got a higher high. That is your support level. So what I normally do on that is I look and I think, okay, if this breaks here, it may just barely break, come down to line 6 and then take off. That's a phantom trade, right? And you could still have a higher low than this one. Okay? So what you want to do in a case like that is only if it breaks through, you get those nice red bars, they come back and kiss resistance and then roll over. Okay? You can take those. But keep in mind that, with a phantom type trade, this is liable to box in beautifully down here and just take off and go another 60, 70 ticks. But usually when they do break lightning 3, that's a good lightning 3. In other words, see, this is 56 all the way to 69. That's a 13 tick swing from here and quite a bit more from here. That's a pretty good swing right there. So if they break it, they'd probably head down. You'll be able to prove that time and time again on your charts too. Okay, so what we're looking at right now then is we're looking for a little trade to set up. Okay, and let's see if we can get one. Get rid of this. Don't really need it. All right, so let's set up Object Trader and see if we can get a trade. So we're going to do Object Trader. We'll just do replay, and I've got total of 5, but we don't have to even go with 5. We can go with absolutely like 3 to give an example, and just set that as your default. Okay. Click OK, and let's see if we can get a trade. Predictor says right here. All right, look to your left to trade the right, and let's see if that's a good spot. You have a high, you have a low, you have a same high. So if they took that out, that could be a little area that they could bounce off of. Predictor says it is. Okay, so let's just see. We're going to only do 1 if it touches that predictor. Okay, and then we'll do another one basically if like a bar closes to where we can get like a little 1, 2, 3 reversal. So let's see if we can get something. Let's see, at 68.42, just 1 second, David. Are you getting in on the trade down right when it touches support? No. Now, David, on your question, we're not expecting it come down here because we're expecting higher lows and higher highs. So, because the whole definition of an uptrend is higher highs and higher lows, right? So what we're expecting is a pullback into that predictor, maybe even as low as here. See the swing to the left? You know, I'd probably basically watch for a bounce here, and I'd watch for a bounce here in case they decided to check a little bit lower. But they have checked this. See, they kind of checked it, you know, because they'll do it with like several bars lots of times. So they've kind of checked that. So let's just see if it works. We'll just see if it works. Now keep in mind, this is not the time of night that a lot of people trade, but you can on Sunday night. If you'd like to trade on Sunday night, it's not a bad night to trade. See, that's coming down. Predictor says a little lower. Are we going to chase it? I'm not personally. Now, I'll tell you another trade I'd look for in case this does decide to break. Let's just look at that one. Let's say that we don't get this trade. You got to always be looking at your charts to see where could I get in if this thing decides to explode. Well, what would we expect? We'd expect a thrust up, a pullback, right? Didn't want a line there, just 1 second. And we'd want a pullback, and then we'd want a break back to the upside. Okay, and that more than likely would be into line 6. If it see how line 6 just kind of trails up and everything. That's what you want to look for, because you don't want to chase this thing. Like, let's say, for instance, right now, I just decided to hit buy. Well, I've only got like 4 ticks that I could possibly make on that trade if it hits its head. So that's not a smart trade. You've always got to look to the left to trade the right. Now, could it just blow up and just keep on trucking? Yes. But to me, for it to do that, it would have to at least break up, pull back and kiss, and then take off again. Or it's going to hit my thrust, my retrace. Even look at your fibs on it. Let's just see what a fib is on this little move. I like 61% on these quite a bit. Look at that, it's 61 on the money. Did Predictor pick that by the fib number? Maybe. Let's look and see if we can get a trade here. I may have to speed this up. This was real slow, evidently. So, yeah, you definitely want to wait for the retrace, David, on your question. Because otherwise, what would you have to do if you just literally just jumped in this trade like right now? Well, more than likely it's going to hit my predictor, so it's going to take that swing out. So you'd have to have your stop below that. If you were to just hit the button, you'd have to put your stop probably under that swing. Would you want to do that? Because that would be like 58 all the way to 42. That's a 16 tick stop plus the close of the bar. And I don't like that. Now, if you think, well, it should be a higher low, then you probably wouldn't have to go that far. So obviously, it'd be best to just wait for the retrace. See if we can get it. Predictor is pretty good at picking these trades. Man, I may have to speed this up. I got it going 15 times. It's not even moving. We'll go 50 times. Hopefully I can get it. Now, if it touches that, you don't have to just mark it. You can actually do this. You know, turn on bar close, see like that. See how it's hitting predictor. Another bar close if we get another pop up, if we want to add one. Move our target. Well, we probably want one target there, but unfortunately we don't want our only target there. We'll see if we can get something. We'll get our target out of the way. Now, that's kind of an aggressive trade, but in a way it's not really aggressive because it actually is in a range, right? And predictor, well, it basically predicted a 61% retracement on that move, and it also predicted where the swings were. Okay, we just got in another one. Let's just go for a total of 3, if we can get 3. Let's see, ES kept on trucking 10 points without a single retrace before lunch today. Yeah. A matter of fact, Russell, didn't we get 100 ticks on that today? That's a pretty awesome trade. Now, let me ask a quick question. If you were trading this with your live money right now, where would you want your stop? Anybody? That's exactly right. You don't really know this very moment except for the fact that you did bounce off a predictor. If you want to protect this, you could go ahead and put your stop just under that with the close of the bar. Okay? But you don't really have a lightning swing as of yet to tell you where it's going to be. We need a higher low if we're going to continue heading up. Right? Now, don't you just love it when you put 3 on and you got $30? That means you're up a tick. Now you're down a tick. Now you're down 2 ticks. Now you're up. Now, talking about identified swings just a few minutes ago. You have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low, but is that a higher low yet? No, because it hadn't taken out the swing to the left. If it does, then we're going to be able to tell where we can put our stop, or at least very, very close to it, with the close of a bar, that is. Okay, let's see if we can get it. Still zero in this thing right now. Are you nervous? Down $120. Anybody nervous? May take us out, actually. We're going to find out here in a second. If it does, it does, right? Now notice how you don't have a lightning swing. There you're starting to get one. Okay, so you have a low, you have a high. Now you have a higher low, but not yet until it takes out that swing. Then you'll have a primary and a secondary. Not yet, though. Now let me show you how I can figure that out. Just taking it out. There it is. Okay, now your swing is right down here, here, and even here. Everybody see that? Draw your lightning on it. You'll see it. Let me draw lightning 1. Okay, let's look at it. So we have a low, we have a high, we have a higher low only when it takes out this swing, so it did. Then you have a higher low when it takes out this swing, and it did. So this is pretty much your swing right through here, right? That's pretty much your swing. See if it takes it out. Now, I'd actually have already taken some profit, but I'm trying to teach. Okay, let's see here. Let's go ahead and bring our stop under here. We got 3 on. You know, we got like $240, but keep in mind when you get this double top like this, you can go ahead and protect some coin, but I don't normally until it basically shows me that it's going to respect lightning or not. Okay, now right here's a lightning swing. Now you could take some off if you wanted to, but what? Look at that. Look at that. See why you don't want to do that except with lightning? Okay, now that it's shotgunned like this, you don't want to give it all of that. Okay, so what you can actually do is watch this lightning green, and if it goes red, you can actually just take them off the chart if you want to. Okay, because then you got to look for what? Another trade, right? Is that going to take us out? We're going to find out. So far, you have a high, you have a low, you have a lower high, and you're getting ready to get a lower low if that bar closes. Could you actually get out of the trade if it does that? You'll save more of your money if you do. Or do this. Take 2 off, which is your last 2. If it actually hits power meter, well, in other words, it starts stepping back down. Not yet. Notice how my stop doesn't matter anymore? Because now if this was to shotgun bars down, it'd still get me out. Because what was the criteria for lightning? You have to have a high, a low, and a lower high. Now if it doesn't take out this low and goes up again, then this is going to be a new higher low. Everybody see that? Will it do it? We'll find out. Still a lower high so far. Still a lower high so far. And another way you can do it too, if you're up like major like this right here on a trade, do you want to give this all back? Well, you could also just do this, sell one since they're having trouble, actually taking this thing up. You could sell one and just ride one, and then you could still use the PM to get out of the trade and then look for another entry. Now, where's your next entry on this chart? Because remember, we're trying to see the trades ahead of time, okay? We're trying to see the trades ahead of time. So let's look at our little chart. Let's just pretend we're just getting in the room and we're going to figure out where the next trade is. Let's see if we can do it. Okay, let's go ahead and draw our lightning. I'm going to get rid of this. And let's draw our lightning 1. All right, so high, low, much higher high. So this is definitely an identified swing, right? On our lightning 3. Okay, so we don't expect it to take that out if we're going to head up, right? Wouldn't that be a given? So let's look to the left to trade the right and see where they haven't checked. I'm going to draw some lines. Okay, so let's see. Have they checked here? Yes. Have they checked here? Yes. See it right there? What do you think? Now let's look at our chart, 59 to 64. Over here to the left, okay, we got a swing right over here. That's 69. We got another swing right here at 64, right? That's our what we call our micro identified swing, although it did thrust up, right? So this needs to hold on any kind of a pullback. Okay, so this is like a little sweet spot on a trade that we're looking at right this very second. Let's see, we have high, low, same high, higher low, higher high. So I'd be looking for a trade in this area right here, all the way down to there. And we'll be taken out first, obviously, if this closes and changes power meter to red. Okay? Now, could you short this if you wanted to? Well, we've got the ability to do that in Object Trader. You want to see? Let's just see if it, for the fun of it. I'm going to do 10 ticks and reverse the trade for 2. Because I'm expecting it to come down if it breaks micro to at least that 69 area. So that would be a decent trade, right? But keep in mind that if I short against a long like this, I could really easily get on the wrong side of that trade. So if you don't want to do this one, keep in mind that if they do break micro, the rule of thumb is they go down and check medium swings. As a rule, that works pretty well because when they break micro, they usually do go down. Okay, so let's see if we can get something here. Power meters is green. Power meter would change to red only if it takes that out right there. That'd be kind of like boxing it in like we do at the open of the market, wouldn't it? In a way. Now, I don't personally normally do a trade like this to begin with, simply because I can tell you this, a lot of times they'll close right outside this little area because that is not an identified swing. Everybody see that? You have a high, you have a low, you have a lower high, little lower low, but they're wicks. See them right there? So that could be a very, very risky trade. Now, if you want to try something like that, I'd probably even do just like 5 because you'll usually get 5 if they break. It's not breaking at all yet, is it? And keep in mind, instead of doing this, I'm showing you how to use Object Trader if you want to, but you do not have to do any kind of a reversal type trade on this. Sometimes you'll be glad you did. Believe me, they'll go all the way down to mid-band and you can get a good trade. But you'll do it against backgrounds and everything else if you do it. Okay. Let's see if that gets 5 ticks just for the fun of it. That's 15 ticks. We want 5. Yeah, 6 is good enough. Now, where would you have to put your stop, though, to get those 6 ticks? Well, wouldn't you have to put it at the identified swing? Like that? And it's not really identified until that bar closes. So they're probably going to nail us. But if I was going to do this, I wouldn't take a chance with too much of that money. But I have found that if they usually break micro with a closed bar, that you'll probably get those ticks. And there's even predictor right there. Predictor's actually saying that it should come down to right there. So that'd be 7 ticks if we did that. We just got 7 ticks, it looks like to me. Maybe not. Now that's resistance. Looks like we're going to get it. Okay, but we got our little sweet spot. So let's say that you had done a trade like this and you decided to go ahead and short that up there. A lot of our people do this, by the way. But if you do it, you got to keep in mind that it's got to keep stair-stepping downward. You know, in other words, I wouldn't even probably let it close above like that little swing right there, you know, just in case, like something like that. That way you're protected on the trade because this is still a major uptrend. There you go, you just got a trade. 5 ticks is not that hard to get on a chart, by the way. You know, getting more than that sometimes is not that easy. All right, let's see where we're. Okay, we got a swing right here. We got a swing right here. We got a swing right here. All right, so high, low, higher, high. Didn't really take out that swing, so I don't count this as of yet, but I do count it now because, see, it took it way out. So that's your identified swing right there at 60. So we're going to look for a little trade in that area right there just below or at mid-band, whichever happens. Now, why did we take the predictor just a few minutes ago? Notice that we're not taking the predictor this time around because we've already seen where it should go. It should at least go down to here, and that's further than predictor's saying. This one was perfect because it just hit a perfect resistance. Well, it was resistance, then it became support. See where we took that last trade? And this looks like this is almost midnight, isn't it? It's after hours. Let's do this then. Let's go with a little bit more conservative trade. You want to try it with like PM? Well, PM is red right now. All right, we've got to get at least down to this line that I've drawn because that's looking to the left to trade the right. Or it's going to have to break this swing right here, even right here. Let's see, what settings put the numbers on for the swing? Mine keeps on disappearing, Dan. Well, if they're disappearing at all, go to your indicator under Lightning 3 and make sure that you've got, you know, I choose like green, dark green, and yellow. And then just set that as your default. But our template that's online will get you that because you get my exact charts whenever you trade this. Okay, we're coming down. We're getting close. Now, what if this was just a falling knife? And it very well could be, okay? But let's see if we can get a trade based on the way we teach with like even power meter. Now, it bounced off of mid-band so far, right? All right, but it has not started lightning back up. So let's see if we can get a lightning trade. We'll do a lightning 3. Not lightning 3, but 2 contracts, sorry. Now that's a little sweet spot that I like right there myself. See it right there at support? I'd probably be grabbing 1 about now, simply because I see it hitting a support level that is definitely identified. See it? So if it comes back above it, could you take it? Well, let's just do it conservative. I would take the bar close, and there's a bar close. But let's just see if we can get a lightning trade instead. No lightning yet. Lightning, maybe? There's your lightning. Oh, we forgot to turn on our other. Oh, well, that's all right. By the way, did you know you can actually, if you look at this and you see one of them's not turned on just yet, you can actually turn like PM2 on and even add. See where it's red? If it goes green, it would add you one. Well, that hit my exact line, wouldn't you know? Feeling a little bit of heat on that trade. Exit on close, are we going to get? Whoa, that was close. That's secondary swing right there to the left. Now notice that my power meter 1 even went red again, so let's go power meter 1 instead. Whoop, we just missed it. I'm going to add them anyway. See it because those both went green. Everybody see now how you can actually pretty easily just look at your charts and tell where the next trade is? It's not as difficult as you think. Now, how would you stay in this trade? Anybody? What if you missed this trade entirely? Where's another spot to get this trade? Anybody? Let's just kill it and let's see if y'all can pick the next spot to get in this trade. Let's look to the left to trade the right. We got a swing right across here. We got a swing right across here. Right? You want to see if we can get in it again? I think I just missed it. I got it going 75 times. Maybe we'll get it. Nope, we missed it. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe. Are you going to kiss my line or not? There we go. See it right there? And let's go ahead and add. Well, it's too late now. Everybody see how to do that? Put your stop just underneath there. You're risking 5 ticks. And you can, of course, move your targets out of the way. Look to the left to trade the right. Where are they going? Well, let's see. They've got a swing right across here. I'd probably take some coin on it right across here. Wouldn't you? And then turn on your power meter. See how that just took that out? Is that actually through? Well, not yet. Let's see where it's going. Let's see where it's going. I would put my stop just right under here. I'd put my target out of the way. That's your primary. That's your secondary. That's now going to be your primary if they pop up. It popped up. So isn't that your primary and that's your secondary? Now that's even a secondary. No, that's still a primary. Now that's a secondary. Everybody see how you do that? I've got it going 75 times, so we're going to just keep it until it gives up the ghost. And looks like you're going to be out. You can always tell when they start pushing it toward it, they're going to take it. Didn't yet. All right, where's your next trade on the chart? We always like those mid-band trades, right? So let's see if we can get another trade. And let's get rid of Lightning 1. I want y'all to let me know exactly where you see the trade. Let's look to the left to trade the right. All right, so you had a thrust up, they checked. All right, you have a thrust up, they haven't checked. Nope, they checked lower, they checked that one, see it right there? So I'm looking for them to check this one here. So looking to the left to trade the right, I see a little sweet spot right there. See if we can get it. And you always want to, as a rule, try to get an ABC, even with smaller bars. Now keep in mind, that they can be like an ABC on these blue bars, but you could actually do an A, a B, and a C with a little bit, more of a retrace. You see what I mean? Like, in other words, they might bounce off of a yellow bar and only come 61% of this move. Okay, but we're looking for this area right down here. Let's see if we can get it. Got it going like 50 times. Everybody see why I picked that area right there? They hadn't checked it yet. Now, does that mean they won't take it out? Well, obviously what you would do is you'd put your stop just underneath the swing just in case they were through. But see how you can tell that? Let me just show you how I figured that out right there. Because looking to the left to trade the right, you've got to see that swing that they haven't checked. Okay? Now, if they're going to head up, they need a higher low. Still got our stop right under here. This one may get us. Nope, not yet. Not yet. Swing, right? As soon as that becomes identified, we'll bring our stop right there. That's identified, isn't it? Okay, let's look and see, how did we figure that out where that was actually coming right there? Because I've had a lot of people ask me, how do you look to the left to trade the right? Well, the thing is, you've got to actually know how many times they've checked something. Wow, look at that thing. Mercy. Don't you wish you were up at 5 o'clock in the morning? Right? Okay, let's go ahead. I'll slow this down, but let's check and let's see if we can figure this out on this side. Then we'll probably go ahead and wrap pretty soon. All right. Always look to see where they've been. Okay. Let's get rid of the lines. Okay, remember this one, we figured we thrust up, we pull back, we thrust up. So, you draw your lines on top of your little swings that they make, right? And notice that they went up, they never checked it. They went up, they never checked it. Look where they checked it. See there? Okay. Now, look to the left to trade the right, and where have they not checked this time around? Well, you got a swing right here, right? So, like so. Now, they checked this one, but they haven't checked this one. They haven't checked that one either right there, right? So let's see, they checked that one. We got this just a minute ago. Let's see. Let me draw my lightning on it because I was looking at my lightning. Bear with me a second. Yeah, there we go. All right. So let's see, they checked here. That's where we got in. We got a nice little trade. They won't go any lower than that because that's a high, low, higher, high. So this can't be taken out, right? So you got to have a higher low the next time if they're going to head up. So you've always got to look to the left to trade the right. Draw your lines like there, and draw your lines on the next little level right there. And see, that's where they did it. It's amazing what they do. And notice that this other one had already been checked to begin with. See here, where they kind of popped off of it. So that had been checked. This one had not been checked right here. And you'll notice that when they do that, now, if you were looking at this chart, where do you think they haven't checked as of yet? Anybody? Because I called this trade in the room this morning. If they break micro, let's just do this in like 500 times because I want to draw some lines on the chart. There's support right there. And we're not even up yet. Okay. Nice little bounce off of mid-band. Going 500 times, so I'm not going to trade this, but I want to see if it, when they break micro and secondary and they break medium, they'll go down and check these larger swings. And does anybody remember this morning when we were in the room, we actually got this trade right down in this area here? There you go. Just hit it. See that? Just hit my line. Now, if you were trading this and you were thinking, this was heading down at the time, wasn't this actually still an uptrend? That's why we actually called this trade in the room this morning. We talked about, basically drawing like a trend line. You draw a trend line across here. You could take this trade here, see your lightning, low, high, higher, low. When did it become a higher low? When it took out this swing. Could you actually take that trade there? Yes. That would have changed to green. It definitely double bottomed down here, so a lot of our people were already grabbing it down in here. Like so. Because, I had mentioned in the room even that this was still not a downtrend, that we were still heading up. Did it give a nice little pop out of the box? Yes. Matter of fact, it gave a really good trade right here. Let me show you how you see this one. This was before the room though, so let me show you this one. See where you've got your support level right here and they break it? Okay. So what usually happens, what do we talk about when we're actually going to take these trades? We're wanting a thrust down, right? So that's your thrust down. This is your retrace, right? Whoops, grabbed the wrong one. That's not an arrow. Well, we'll leave it there. It's good enough. And then what does it do? It rolls over, right? See it? See it hit that line and roll over? And you probably got that trade this morning because we actually called that one too. But I mentioned when it hit this bottom down here that we weren't heading down anymore. And some of you got this trade long before it went through mid-band. Because this trade did pretty nicely if you just simply, drew a trend line or something like that. Let's see, is it possible to open the room 5 minutes earlier for some of these pre-market discussions? Can you so slowly what you mean when they checked? It's really confusing. Well, basically, if you want to see a little bit better how they check, you can get out of 4 range bars and do like a Ranko, and you'll see it even a little bit easier because you don't have quite the noise on it. But what I look for when I'm looking at trades like this, for instance, if this thrust up here, see where it came down and kissed? Let's say that you weren't even in this trade yet, and you happen to just get up and you say, okay, it's breaking resistance. So if it kissed it, could you take that trade? Yes. Because that's what you're looking for on a break above and a pullback. We take those trades all the time. Okay. Now keep in mind though, that when this actually traded this morning, anybody remember this morning? This was a beautiful little trade because we draw our lines on our charts, and I called it here, and I called it here, like so. And watch what it actually did. See there? It hit a perfect double top up there. Now, could you short that under that swing? Yes. Especially after a double top. Look what that thing did after that. Okay? Look at that mid-band kiss on that. Was that a beautiful trade too? Mid-band predictor type trade? Yes. So what does everybody think about being able to see a little bit better on their charts? What's the next trade? Keep in mind these mid-bands are like little magnets. They'll draw them to them. On this trade right now, see, you had a mid-band, so now you're looking for a phantom. Right in this area right here. Does anybody remember this little trade that we got? Because keep in mind that this was heading down, but where is your identified lightning? It was right there. So was that an area to take that trade off the table? And the answer is yes. Right? Okay. And watch what actually happened here, because I remember this trade this morning right there. Everybody see that line 6? That's a little phantom trade right there. Line 6 all the way down. Where would you take this trade off the table? Let's just say that you thought it was heading down. So you shorted at line 6. You're heading down. You finally broke here, so your identified swing is right across there. right? It didn't go ahead and head down, and it broke the swing, so you're out. Everybody see that? You're totally out. All right. And of course, I didn't have any charts for, remember the trade we called on Russell? We got 100 ticks on that little jewel today. But keep in mind, if you'll learn to look for these trades like this, and also, to even box them in, make sure that they go, stair stepping back your direction again. But don't take them, for instance, if this was to decide, let's say that this was to decide to just barely break and kiss an area and then pop right back up, don't hold it. Always get out of a trade that starts going the other way. Where's this one going to hit its head? Let's see here. Got resistance right there at 31. You got an identified swing getting ready to set up. Not yet. Right across here. Right now you've got a mid-band, so you're kind of looking at that trade right now. Now, what if it actually turns the background green? Well, let's see if it does. Let's find out. You want to try it? Let's try it for 10 ticks. We're below our box. We're going to put our stop just above the swing. That's a phantom trade. Now, it didn't ratchet down, but it did box. And I like a box trade like that. So let's see if it works. Hopefully I've got enough data. And I'd be probably on a phantom type trade with a high, low, higher, high. I'd want a higher low again if they're going to head up. So I'd probably put my target above mid-band, simply because we don't know if it's going to check as low as this, especially since it's starting to, try to head up a little bit. Now, this looks to me like very possibly a little trend change. What do y'all think? You got a low, you got a high, you got a higher low, and you got a higher high. But that is a phantom trade, so would we take it? And the answer is if you want to, you obviously can. It's about an 80 to 85% probability trade if you box it in. If it's the first time in, you pretty much just short line 6. If it's gone from one extreme to the other, phantom. Okay? Let's see if that actually worked out. Where's your identified swing? Well, it's all the way at the top still. There it is. Okay, we got our profit target anyway. Let's see here. You got thrust, retrace, thrust. So if they don't take this out right here, they could easily head up. Thrust, retrace, thrust. Could you box this in at mid-band the way we teach it? What do y'all think? Power meter it? You want to power meter it? All it's going to take it is if we get a high, a low, a lower high, it would take it down, but we're trying to go long if this goes ahead and breaks. And if you boxed it like we talked in the room this morning, we actually talked about boxing this right here like this. I think Charles missed this trade if I remember right. I think he said he did, didn't he? Anybody remember if that trade worked out? We'll shut down in just a minute. Power meter. Did it? Okay. I thought it did because I called this trade in the room this morning. Let's speed it up a little bit more, maybe. Power meter's not green yet. We got to get a lower high. There you go. You got a lower high. See what you got to get? You got to get swing. In other words, you have to have a low, a high, higher low. Now, if it breaks this little swing right across here, it will fire that trade if we don't get a lower low. Let's see what it does. There's your trade. I'd love to actually get that PM. I'm going to talk to the programmer and see if I can get that PM to work on a touch. Because where would you have to put your stop? Well, unfortunately, you would have to put your stop. Let me get these out of the way for just a minute. You'd have to put your stop underneath this swing, right? That's your identified swing. You could add on stealth. Looks like it's trying to break up, doesn't it? Anybody remember this trade in the room this morning? Now, I'd be protecting my coin right here now. See it? Swing, identified. That's the way you do it. That's exactly the way you do it. And if you miss this trade, you can almost count on the fact that you're going to figure out the next one. Let's fast forward it and see if you can. And then we're definitely going to wrap because I'm running over. Predictor was right on top of a swing, by the way. Too late. I couldn't move it. Everybody see where you'd be putting your stop, though? It wouldn't move this fast, obviously. I was going like 500 times. But see where your swing is? That's where your stop would be. Look to the left to trade the right, and just, as it stair steps up, put your stop in. Usually as a rule, that's why I like 4-range charts, because they will usually have you a little pull down enough to get a high, a low, and a higher high. And then it gives you a swing. That's why we love lightning. Okay? Did everybody get something out of this tonight? I hope you did, because these trades were called in the room this morning. Okay? This little trade right here was called in the room, and if I remember right, that little dude just went and went and went. It even went after we closed the room a little bit. Where would you take it off the table? Anybody? Well, also look at these predictors too. If they blow through them, hey, it's good deal. But always look to see where it's been, where it's going. Thrust, retrace. Thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace. So basically that's your swing right there. So let's see if it did this. I had a line drawn pretty close to there, didn't I? But you don't know if it's going to go as high as you think it's going to go, but guess what? It's got a swing always. And watch and see if when that swing is taken out. Let's see if we can get it. When does this give up the ghost? Identified swing. Held. Going to get taken out? Not yet. Where's that? There it is. Just got taken out. Everybody see that? That's what you just got to do with these charts. I got that running 500 times again. All right. We've got some good scripts on our charts, no question about it. You can really see these trades in real time. And if you were looking for the next trade, you had a high, low, higher high, I'd be looking right down in this little sweet spot right here. Or a break of that mid-band. But you want to be sure you go back, like with lightning, to give an example. It looks like lightning right there. Let's see if that trade worked out. Yep, it already did. Didn't take you out yet. Your swing's right under here, and then it hit exactly where you're shooting for. You can definitely draw on these charts, and our predictors and everything will definitely keep you on the right side of the trade. Okay, everyone, thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll do this tomorrow morning. And keep in mind that when you get to where you can see these things in real time on your charts and draw your lines on your charts, and if you can't really see them, go to those little webinar templates that we put out, because that way you're not seeing all those bars and getting confused where everything's at. Because to give an example, if this was going to head down, I would pretty much be expecting it to break this area right here. And if it did that, let's just do it at 500 times. Let's see here. Definitely didn't take out the top. Well, it's trying to break. What do y'all think? Got to make your mind up quick. Too late. See there? Broke that swing. But what did it do? It did exactly what I said it would do. It breaks a swing, comes back and kisses it, and rolls over. And that's what you'll see continually. And by the way, your stealth will start giving you a heads up too. You start getting this red stealth. You can tell they're losing, their momentum and their strength. Okay? All right. We'll see everybody in the morning. Thanks for coming. Good night. Paula, your question, Lightning 1 will get you out a little too quick sometimes, but keep in mind that you also have to have swings. If they have bars that just go straight up or straight down, you got to put your stop tighter. Okay? But if you can see Lightning swings, like right now, to give an example on this chart, you can put your stop there at that secondary swing, and this would be your primary swing. Okay? This would be a little bit more of a conservative stop. This would be a more of an aggressive stop. Okay? But when they start stair-stepping back up, they'll usually check these medium swings anyway. So what did oil do? Headed down some more. See how it kissed that line? Had it drawn ahead of time. Yeah, I think you can trust these stops. See there? We had our stop right there, and it didn't take you out. Okay? Now, keep in mind, though, that if you look at these little bitty moves like this, if you put your stop here, it would have gotten you. What I like to do is look to the left and then let the right do its thing a little bit. Okay? And this would be considered like a secondary swing once this took this out. So you could have had your stop here, then it came down here, you could have put it here. The main thing is to keep it where they don't just wick you out. And also where you don't give them a bunch of your money back, because I don't like mid bands for stops, not on oil. All right, see everybody in the morning.